Welcome back to Dry Arabia for another true test of skill with a Japanese mirror. And GG with all of the numbers in the green on the west side as the Japanese. He actually sent me the link for this video and wanted me to cast it for him. So if you want to be awesome like GG, then just comment on this video or any of my casted videos with your username and the details of the game, and then I can get it casted. So whether you're gold, platinum, diamond or conqueror, it doesn't matter. Anything fun, anything exciting, we always like to see on the channel. And to introduce our competitor, we have Ash in the red as the Japanese also. So we can see that Ash has gone for the classic Tawara opening there, so he's now on the berries with the Tawara upgrade in, whereas GG has gone for the house but no Tawara as of yet on the sheep, so looking potentially at going for that slightly faster age up. So if we take a look at his scout, we'll be able to see his scouting path. So because he's on the sheep, he's being a bit more conservative. Also, just to note, GG is a console gamer, so he is platinum. This is a platinum level game, and he's also on console against a computer player. So this is going to be really interesting to see how he manages that, because being on console does give you some advantages of automatic villager production, but then the micro is even more difficult than on computer. And as somebody who has literally zero micro on computer, I have no idea how people on console do it. So I think this is going to be really interesting to see how these two players handle it. And if we head over to Ash Ketchum in the red on the other side, we can see he's being a little bit more aggressive. I would say with him being on the berries, he could actually afford to be way more aggressive than this and actually go straight over to his opponent's side and gather up as many sheep. So I personally like a good straight across the middle and then do the whole half, but that's just me. I'm a greedy scout. So if we take a look now, it looks like GG is moving very close to his feudal age up, and Ash is a little bit further behind because he went for that Tawara upgrade. So this is where a little investment in the eco early slows down your feudal, but your economy does actually pick up much more quickly. So looking over here, I imagine we're going to see the Kura storehouse, and I would imagine maybe, okay, directly here, that's a good position. If any, blocks two of the farms, but normally you do have one blocked. What actually I would have loved to seen here is a little bit of a greedy one. Could have been right here, and a little short wall right at the front here, a tiny little wall there, and then you'd actually have a gather point on both of these wood lines, and you'd get all of the farms. So and it will still be within that daimyo range. So if we take a little look on here, that would be in there. But this is a pretty good position, and we can see double Kura storehouse. Interesting that we've gone for 5 villagers on the age up for GG, so he's also gone for the sheep to open, and he's aging up more quickly. So we might potentially be planning on seeing some feudal aggression here, but we always need to remember that if you're aging up more quickly, you need to have resources to do something with it afterwards. So often when you see players rushing up a landmark like this, you often see it because they want to do some type of aggression, or they're looking for some type of advantage from that age up. If we head over to Ash's side, he's done a really nice Kura storehouse placement here, so he's got enough room at the back here for some farms between the TC and the landmark. It's going to be able to gather that wood, and eventually all of these things will go. And if I'm not mistaken, that actually would leave us enough space for a farm between that. So really nice 10 out of 10 placement here. If we take a little look at the spawns as well, it looks like actually GG has got quite a favourable spawn in terms of these two front wood lines are super defensive. One little wall here basically stops anything going straight down the middle, but his gold is at the back, but it's actually really exposed and it's outside of the TC range. So this potentially could be a place that Ash could decide to hit, whereas his berries are actually nice and close to this wood line, so quite easy to defend. Whereas if we head over to Ash's side, his gold is also quite exposed. The whole front of his base is completely open, but all of his resources at the back are all huddled together. So a little short wall down here will be able to prevent any circling round for raiding and stuff like that. So we're just going to have to see. We've got double broadaxe coming in for GG now on the top side. So he's got a lot of villagers on wood, so we're going to be seeing something happening there, and a couple of these idle guys waiting to get orders. I imagine we're going to jump to sheep. So we need to see them moving. Let's go. There we go, that little short wall there. I would put it just a little bit further forward, but that's obviously just being super greedy. Almost where those bushes are, then if they do get archers or anything like that, there's no way they're going to hit any villagers. But nice little defensive wall there from GG. If we head over to Ash's side, he's got his farm manned, which is amazing, and he's gathering up the straggler tree ready to do something. We can see a lot of gold in hit the bank and we can see a tower going up, so this is a sign that we're going to be seeing a fast castle here from Ash. If we head over to GG side, he's being very, very defensive. So whether this is because of the additional requirement of micro on the console, that these short walls are coming up to be more defendable, I would say this wall here is a little bit far out. You do actually want it to dip into the TC range. So when you do a short wall like this, the idea is you want to force the units into TC range to do damage. So actually if it had gone to like this bush here, obviously you've got the tower now, which is great, but you actually don't need that tower. If you just did it diagonally across to like here, then the TC would actually hit it and they'd have to run all the way around to get any of these villagers. But nicely done here, making sure those farms are manned, because you often see them not covered, which is always sad. We definitely want to see a lumber camp going down here at some point. And looking at this, we've also got 3 on gold and a tower, so it looks like both of these players are going for the castle age up. Also, because they get the free stone when they're mining gold and free gold when they're mining stone, Ash has enough here for his arrow slits to defend. So a bit of a defensive slow start here, and I think both players going for that fast castle, which is all going to be about who gets there first. So looking at how things are going at the moment, it looks like Ash is going to make it. So now the villagers have gathered up his safe berries, and with no aggression coming out, I'd love to see him going out over here onto the deer or onto these berries over here, because there's no units on the map. We can see that GG can tell that he's a little bit further behind with his age up, so he's doing a nice defensive wall across here, securing a deer pack, securing some berries and 2 gold. So this spawn now is looking really, really good. So yeah, eventually we'll just see this wall closed off at the back line, but the castle will be coming through ever so shortly. And we do have one on stone, so it looks like he might be going for that slightly faster daimyo, which gives you the bannerman, which you can use to buff up whichever units you go for, and it also increases the gather rate of farms. So we can already see that you've got 5 of those free farms around your TC, so that daimyo is really, really great value. We can see a stables going up, I think in preparation for the castle age, which will be coming through ever so shortly. So no units on the field as of yet, so just very much playing their builds and getting it done. So both of them with 5 on gold now, so the castle age should be coming through ever so shortly. So I think Ash in this case has gone a bit defensive here, and this is going to be a problem for him once they hit castle age. If he uses up all of this safe food now, as soon as those mounted samurai or those castle age Onabagation or whichever units they do, then looks like both are going to be going for mounted samurai actually. Now all those sheep are gone, he's going to have to move out onto the map when it's actually more dangerous. If there's no aggression in the feudal age and you're going for a castle, actually you could safely go and gather up all of these deer and get all of that good food, and then when their units on the field you can pull back to the safety of your TC. So that's why you often see Order of the Dragon players going straight out onto deer, because then when they pull back later they've got loads of value from that food early. So using up all of your sheep super early is not always the best idea. So we can see here that both players actually using their sheep, so they're in the same boat, and a couple of extra farms going down, which is going to make use of that daimyo, which we're going to be seeing come in ever so shortly, which is that 300 stone, which is really nice because he's getting some from this stone there, and he's also getting the passive from the gold, so that'll be coming in ever so shortly. Castle Age just about to pop through with the Takazaiku going in as well, and I imagine we're going to be seeing a mounted samurai with the Yurishiro. There we go. So we want to see one of these boys popped into queue, and he's going to be able to go and do some real damage while the Shinto priest goes over and grabs a relic. So I really like this, going and grabbing this front relic here, you always want to get the contested ones in the center because you always have one safe one here. So this one is really Ash's unless he misplays it. This one is definitely GG's, and the other ones are very contestable. The one thing you want to be careful of is when there's a relic like this, that you don't run your priest over the sacred site, because then it makes a massive ping alert, and as soon as you activate that sacred site, the other player can always see units running over it and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you run around it and back. So shift queuing that is always a really, really good idea. We've got the floating gate coming in, and if we take a look, this is definitely going to be going in the stables there, and we can see he's rallied out to the relic to try and defend that. We've got the first mounted samurai on the field, just looking awesome, chilling with the with the scout, having a great time, just checking out the scenery. So hopefully he's going to go and do a poke, and that age up now should be assigned to Ash, that he really wants to get moving. So when you have the time advantage like this and you've got those first castle units on the field, you want to be using them as much as possible. So definitely I would have been running that mounted samurai here, idling the gold, because if GG gets to castle age and he has no gold, then he's not going to be able to produce any of those castle units. So leaving these guys undisturbed is really, I think, a bit of a mistake here, because he's getting some of those units, but with the Yorishiro it's going to be very easy for GG to catch up. So we can see here that he's going around the front of the base. I definitely wouldn't be attacking this wall here, because there's actually completely open at the side. But if we take a look, we've got the Shinto priest running over here to grab a relic. He's also guarding this one here with a mounted samurai, so between the wolf, the mounted samurai and the scout, I don't think this Shinto priest is going to be making it home. He could have tried a last minute wallalol there to grab it and then try and convert these, but with two mounted samurai and two wolves, oh my god, look at the carnage. So now we see an engagement here, and I think just with the numbers, that mounted samurai, once he's down, all of these units are going to go. And coming in from the backside there with another mounted samurai, this is amazing. So these Yumi Ashigaru don't have as much health as the other archers, so they are going to be taken out very, very quickly. Scout and mounted samurai at the back going down, and the wolf still trying to do some damage, but giving up now through the stealth forest. So here we go, another mounted samurai coming in from the back, and it's looking like the tables might be turning on GG here in this fight, so he really either wants to pull in those reinforcements or come back. So targeting down the low health mounted samurai there, and a nice little bit of micro from Ash pulling away that low health one, and with that the deflect armor will reload, and so then it's able to hopefully survive another day. So now we can see that the fight is moving slowly over, and this is what I was talking about earlier, that now Ash is forced to go out onto these open resources. If GG's able to scout this, he's going to be able to get these villagers over here way before they manage to get back, and he's actually rallying his TC. It looks like, see, now all of these villagers have used the sheep, and this is the situation you really don't want to be in, because it's actually a lot harder to defend raids when you're out like this without any walls. So now I would hope that Ash would be looking at maybe walling in. I'd maybe be a bit greedy and go up here, a couple of short walls here, and then that would defend this area, and you could just put a short wall all the way down to your TC like this. So no monastery up yet. He does have the wood, and he's got 2 relics in the bag, but that gold is not being gathered yet. There is a Yorishiro in the forge there, which means he is going to be getting that passive gold, and now we're in castle. Let's switch over to resources per minute. Let's take a look at Ash's side. So he's also got a relic there that's just sitting chilling. Get your monasteries, boys, come on. It's just here. Oh, the Shinto shrine, should I say. So come on, guys. You need to get those relics deposited. As cool as they look, just decorating your base, we really want to see them put away. There's a farm that's being constructed that isn't being manned. So this is something that I often do myself, where you put loads of farms down and there's one unmanned. What you can do, if you're not planning on having the right number of villagers on it immediately, is that you can just make a ton of farms and rally your TC to it, and then when the farms are filled, then it will start showing idols. So always a good idea. If we look at the composition now from Ash, we can see that there's some Onimusha coming in, and they've also got that whistling arrow, which means that they can increase their movement speed for 10 seconds. So this now is going to be really dangerous for GG, because both of these units are going to be able to counter him, but he does have some horses. I think we definitely want to be seeing some ranged units from GG. We still don't have the daimyo, so that stone's definitely been used elsewhere, whether it's on upgrades on towers, if we take a little look around. But I would hope that we're going to be... it's a second TC. Silly me. So we've got 2 TCs from GG now, so especially being a console player, this works really well for him with the auto villagers, as long as they're both turned on. So now the daimyo coming in, and a double daimyo on all of these farms is going to be insane for his food eco. But he needs to make sure that he's pressuring this food over here, because now Ash's food eco is really starting to kick off because he's getting all of these open resources, and he, as much as these walls have kept him safe, once he uses up these berries and these deer, that's going to be a real problem. So we've got for GG, we've got one Yorishiro in the stables, one in the archery range, and he's also going for Onimusha with some horsemen as well. And there we go, 3 relics in. Finally, we've got a Shinto shrine. So, and it looks like we're going to be taking a bit of a fight here, and it looks like the Onimusha numbers are going to be quite dangerous for Ash there, looking at them melting those mounted samurai. So you really want to be targeting these guys down because they're just going to be able to melt all of those units. So there's one mounted samurai doing some damage, 2 coming over, but look how quickly they're taken out. And unfortunately, this composition doesn't look like it's working out too well for GG at the moment, and all of those units, the bannerman has gone down, you can see the bannerman floating there, and now this is looking really scary. So if Ash pushes in here with these units, GG is in real trouble. So looking at this now, we've got 5 units, and we do have the villager lead, so the eco is really starting to kick off. So it needs to make sure that Ash needs to make sure that he pushes this advantage as quickly as possible, because GG has 3 relics and he's got those 2 TCs. So if he's left unattended, his eco is really going to go off way more. You've got Springle emplacement coming in on the gold, and rather than these towers, I'd love to just see some walls, because then it stops these units coming in at all. But we definitely need to see some spears, some archers. We really want to be taking these out, but or it's mounted samurai Onimusha from both sides. So we definitely want to be seeing this. The sprinkled emplacement now in on this tower, which is going to be able to do a lot of damage, and defended very well. Luckily, with the defender's advantage there, GG's managed to push him off. But we can see a stream of units coming in on the mini-map here of mounted samurai coming over. So we are going to be seeing a big fight base. We can see Ash has also gone and got the sacred sites. There's two Shinto priests here just chilling, trying to contest that one at the bottom, and Ash has that one at the top. So if he grabs the one in the middle, this also puts GG in a difficult position, because he is then going to be forced to come and decap them, which means he needs to use his units. So we can see military techs coming in for Ash, and his food eco is absolutely insane at this point. So it looks like potentially he might be looking to go Imperial at this stage. So massing up a little bit more stone, a little bit more gold, then he's going to be able to head up to the Imperial Age, whereas GG is very much just trying to make units to defend at this stage. So definitely needs to be thinking about some counter units for these. So obviously the Onimusha counter the mounted samurai, but the Onimusha are countered by ranged units, so this is where maybe a little switch could definitely work with like mass Yumi Ashigaru could work, but it's really going to be about those numbers. So with these numbers of 15 Onimusha and 8 mounted samurai at your door, you need to be really careful, and towers just aren't going to be defendable. You need to be using those resources to get more units, get more villagers. Fighting under these 2 TCs is not a great idea for Ash. This is going to do a huge amount of damage, and those towers all overlapping with the sprinkled emplacements. Look at how much damage those guys are taking. The bannerman is about to go down. There we go, the mounted samurais, and a nice bit of kiting here from GG, pulling all of these units under the TC, and look how much damage they're all taking. These guys have no ranged armor, or they're very, very weak to ranged attacks. So now fighting in that base like that for Ash has been really, really bad for his military, and he's lost a huge amount there. A fantastic fight for GG. And just checking out the Yorishiro placement, we've got 2 in the forge here, and we've got 1 in the archery range in the stables, which means we're going to have lots of passive gold here for GG, which is really nice. That means eventually he's going to be very safe for gold income, because he's also got 2 safe ones here, whereas Ash is very open, no defensive structures or walls at all. Lots and lots of production though, and it looks like we're going to be seeing a bit of a samurai on a Bagacia switch, and so this is going to be really interesting now that those units are going to do a lot of damage. We can see Onimusha just for GG coming in, but I don't think he has a lot of production, so just those 2 production buildings at the moment, and he is housed at 90 there, so we want to see some houses come in as quickly as we possibly can. So I definitely think GG needs to be adding in some production very, very shortly, otherwise he's going to very easily get outmassed. Because at this stage of the game, the eco is pretty similar, but if you can't use that eco to produce units, you're going to be in real trouble. The Yorishiro is good, but when you also have the Yorishiro in 2 production buildings over here, it's not going to do a huge amount. It looks like actually Ash destroyed the stables, which means the a new Yorishiro will pop out, and he's moved it into the barracks. So that's something you can do as the Japanese, where you actually destroy a building that has the Yorishiro in it, a new Yorishiro will come out and you can move it. Obviously it costs you the cost of the building, but if it's a forge for, let's say, 50 wood, then it's not that bad actually. We can see the sacred site timer is now on 8 minutes, and we can see lots of upgrades coming in on Ash's side. Unfortunately we can't see all the eco text because the Japanese ones are special, so they don't load up correctly on this UI, so you're just going to have to trust me that all of those upgrades are coming in very nicely here for Ash. So we can see that both players are moving out, and this is potentially going to be dangerous for both players now because they are both circling around each other's bases. And does GG see that TC? Does he know it's there? No, he doesn't. So there's a TC right here that Ash added in, which I think is a really good idea now to try and offset that villager lead, because GG has managed to defend very, very well, and now he's over 25 villagers ahead. So this is going to be potentially quite a dangerous point for the eco. But looking at pushing into that base, and this is where now, looking at that switch, GG's going to realise, oh no, there's lots of infantry, and the Onimusha have come in with that whistling arrow and the symbol over their heads and pulling them into the tower defense base game that GG's currently playing instead of Age of Empires. We can see all of these towers doing a huge amount of damage, and this is definitely not where Ash wants to be fighting. There's no reason to take this fight and be pushing into the base like this. And then the defensive units are streaming through on the minimap here. We can see them flooding through the base, and this is going to be really bad for Ash at this point. There is no reason to be fighting under all these TCs and towers with sprinkled emplacements. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, and a nice little bit of flanking there. All of those Onimusha coming in on the backside and now just surrounding all of those units. And look at that military number just dropping through the floor. But because of all those production buildings, he's able to remass very, very quickly. So this is where this is going to be very dangerous for GG if he's not able to get more production or take advantage of his military numbers, because even with all of the ones he's taken up here, they're still massing up at home. You can see a big blob on the minimap over here, which I will show you in a second. So now up to 92 villagers here, and this is where, if we take a look at the eco, the food has dropped off, so that's with all the idling, but I imagine we're going to be seeing a very, very close match in terms of the food. But Ash is very much open, and one thing I would love to see from GG at this stage is grabbing a couple of those mounted samurai, 1 or 2, and just literally moving them over to the boar, over to the deer, over to any of the gold over here, and the same on this side, just literally moving them around the map, and eventually you'll find something, because if you could find this TC, there's only 7 slots at the moment, and we've got 11 villagers there, so that's something where you would definitely get damage done regardless. So decapping this sacred site, and if we take a look, so Ash GG doesn't have any of his Shinto priest left, whereas Ash does. So if we head over to his view, we can see where his Shinto priest is, just chilling in the base. So this is going to be he's going to be able to get those sacred sites back, and we can see all of these units mashing up. We've got Onabageisha, Onimusha, the samurai, a couple of spears, and we've got 3 bannermen in there. So this is where the katana bannermen, so all of these infantry are getting huge buffs. So this is a really, really dangerous army with 66 units and building, whereas if we go over to GG's side, he's still just on those 2 production buildings unless he's added in more now. So this is something you definitely want to see, but look at this farm setup. Beautiful. That food eco is going to be absolutely insane. We've got the Daimyo level 1 in the Landmark TC, we've got Daimyo level 2 in the other one, so both of these are going to be buffing up all of these farms. So I imagine we're going to be seeing Daimyo level 2 in this one when he has enough stone there, and he's out on this exposed gold. And oh no, he's not rallying over there. Oh dear, both of these TCs are rallied over to this exposed gold. What about this one? It's, I think, rallying your villagers all the way over there, and rallying to here, so they're going and getting this stone and long distance mining. Obviously, this is probably an Xbox thing, so we want to be seeing a forge drop there as soon as possible. But oh no, there's been a chop through. The villagers have cut through the wood line, so that wall's not defending anymore. And now this is where Ash is going to be able to do a huge amount of damage with this huge infantry blob. And GG's army is caught out of place with it, the whole army over by the sacred site, and just a couple of units could have defended that. But now this is where the eco is going to be idle, and that villager lead doesn't do it. But is Ash going to take another bad fight under all these towers? It just doesn't make sense to me. Why is he going in and doing this? This actually tower defense, I take back what I said earlier. It's actually doing amazing damage because Ash is intent on fighting under all of these towers. So rather than fighting on this side, come over here. You can still, if you really want to burn down the houses, burn the ones out here where they're outside of the range. I don't understand. This is crazy. And focusing on the houses is fine, but focus on the towers. That's where the villagers are. If you're going to be running under and taking all of that damage, it doesn't make sense. And there we go. GG's army coming in the back again and getting a massive surround on both sides. Oh, this is a terrible fight for Ash. And another example of why you really don't want to be taking a fight under 2 TCs and 4 sprinkled towers full of villagers. It just makes no sense. And all of those military techs means all of those arrows are going to be doing even more damage, because the arrows from TCs and from towers do get the buff from the blacksmith tech. So now if we look at those numbers again, it's looking very, very close, but if we take a look at the eco numbers, it's still very, very strong. Even with the 24 vills that Ash got down there, GG is still ahead. He needs to really be pushing this advantage now and making sure he's using it. But don't get caught out. They're all running over here, but there's a huge blob here, so we definitely need to be scouting what's going on. Ash is back in his base now and doing his big farm transition, so this is where we're not going to be seeing a huge amount of units coming out. Still 3,000 gold in the bank, so whether he's going to be spending that, both players very, very heavy on the gold at the moment, and lots of units in queue trying to mass up. But he's found that TC and the damage there, look at that. So now 24 apiece there. He's got a huge attack there. This is amazing work, and this one actually has level 2 daimyo as well, which is a lot of investment for a very exposed TC. And Ash has decided he's going for the base trade, so while GG is targeting down this TC, Ash is going back into the base again. But GG has built defensive walls there again, really nicely done to recover that. Not a lot of players don't always remember to rebuild those walls, so there we go. So he's pulling back all those units again, and looks like Ash is about to take another fight under the tower defense game, GG's tower defense world that we seem to be playing at the moment. And this, I think, is potentially going to be what loses the fight for him. So we can see GG's army at the bottom here is starting to move home, and he's going to get a surround on them again. I can see it happening. So all these units are coming in. We can see a wall on the bottom there that Ash is trying to get defensive, but he's taken out that stables, which means another Yorishiro is going to pop out, and hopefully this will be the sign to GG to start building a bit more production, because it looks like now he has no production at all. But the gunsmith, I'm not going to try and pronounce that name, the gunsmith is coming in for GG, so he's about to hit the Imperial Age, and he does have the military advantage. So now if those Ozutsu come in, he's going to be able to do a huge amount of damage, and the fact that he's taken out that second TC for Ash means that this villager lead is only going to continue increasing. So he's getting very close to population cap, and this army is looking very, very scary now. So a huge mass of Onimusha and those mounted samurai. So we want to see these guys used, we want to see them going and doing damage, and we want to see them taking out these guys. But look at all of those spears, and I do have to say, as much as a lot of people don't use the formations, it does look pretty incredible when you see them all like that. So we can see a ram being built at the base. I'm not sure why you would build it there. Also, you'll see them running around like this. It's because there's only so many units that can build a ram. So when you see that, if you're going for a ram push, just grab a couple of the units and do that. We can see some stone walls going up, but oh, is he going to catch it? Is he going to catch it? He is, and here we go. So now it's the mounted samurai are running into those infantry, and are the spears going to be able to do? They are connecting, and this is where the Onimusha are really good against those heavy units, but against spears and the Onobageisha, they could potentially fall down. And these archers really want to be targeting down the Onimusha at the back, because firing against the mounted samurai is not going to do a huge amount. The bannerman also doing a huge amount of damage here and targeting the ram for some reason, because obviously that's what you want to be hitting. But as the ram goes down, Ash calls GG, and an amazing game and a great play from GG, especially the fact that he's on console. So let's come back and take a look at the final state of play. And here we are back at the final charge of the game, so before GG was called. So watching these Mounted Samurai and Onabagusha running into the Onimusha running into the Onabageisha. Wow, all these Japanese names, and you wouldn't think that I actually spoke a little bit of Japanese, would you? So let's go out here, bring up the interface, and give it a little pause, and we can check out the final state of play. So we spent a lot of time in GG's base, so let's check out what Ash was doing in the background. So we can see here that he has the Daimyo level 2 in his home TC, and he has a nice farm set up around here, and the house placement actually is really nice, so the farms are all about 2 tiles or 2 farms away from a drop-off point, so I think this is really, really nice. We can see a huge amount of production here, and this is something that Ash did really, really well, was making sure he had lots of production buildings, and considering some of those also had Yorishiro in, he was able to really remass really, really quickly, which worked in his favour, because if he didn't have these production buildings, he definitely wouldn't have survived to this point. If we see, this stone wall came down quite late. There was a TC here we can see from the wreckage, and I think this TC here was very, very greedy. When you've got these 2 gold mines here, we could have just dropped it here if we're just going for the villagers, and then also with that much gold in the bank, we didn't really need to go out here, or we'd want to see some more defensive structure. So I would love to see some much earlier walls here from Ash. Although GG was very occupied defending his base, he didn't manage to do any raiding, which obviously is harder on console. And I keep mentioning about console, but it is important to remember that you know, just because if you're using console, some things are going to be much harder. So I think actually GG played this fantastically well, considering this is a platinum level game and he was doing it on controller. I think that's really amazing. So if we take a look, I would have loved to seen some wooden walls here and then slowly going out, but he was looking at the stone ones, but obviously he's missed his own house there, so this would actually be a door for GG to pop in through. So I think the second TC being out exposed here was a bit of a mistake, and also upgrading it to the Daimyo when it's so exposed I just think is a lot of resources to waste, because then that means that TC cost you 400 wood and 700 stone, which is a huge investment. We can see lots of that passive gold coming in from the relics and also from the Yorishiro. He was able to get 2 relics, but considering that he hit castle first, I think actually Ash should have been able to get at least 3, but because he was a bit slower on producing those units straight out of the gate in castle, GG was able to catch up very, very quickly. So if we head over to GG's side, we can see his base. So these early walls definitely helped him to survive and play a bit more defensively. I would say I would have loved to just seen this wall closed off so that the units couldn't keep running in, but obviously we were playing a tower defense game and there's no point in having all those towers if the units aren't going to go in. The fact that Ash kept hammering from this side with all these defensive structures really, really gave the game to GG. So if I were Ash, I would have been looking for some other damage. For example, knocking these walls down and coming in from here, getting the berries and the gold, and then fighting on this backside here where there's only 1 TC. You could do a huge amount of damage in this wood line and around this side rather than fighting under 2 TCs and like 5 towers. I just think that's a really bad position. Also, we can see out here we also have the landmark that's popped in with some Ozutsu that have started to make their way out, so these 16 villagers would have been easy picking for some of those units. So I think a little bit more raiding from both players there could have done a huge amount of damage, but the villager kills about the same, so that second TC really paying off there for GG. And the eco you can see is just really sort of popping off, and all of those imperial techs coming in. And although the income looks very, very similar because he's already an imperial, this is really favoured for GG. We can also see that there was a ram being built at the front of the base here. I'm not sure exactly why you'd build it this close to your own base, but you know, what do I know? I've seen a couple of games gone, so I'm looking at you, where we have seen rams built at home and sent over. But I think the switch of composition here from Ash was really, really good. But one thing for GG, you need more production, mate. Honestly, I think the setup of the 2 TCs, the getting the 2-level daimyos, so all of your farms are insane, is amazing. I just think you need more production. At the moment, all you have is these ones, and you don't want to be building them out here, mate. You really want to build them somewhere safe so that they can't get destroyed really, really easily, because these would just take this infantry like 2 seconds to burn down. So I would be using all of this space here, all this space at the back, anywhere like that. You've got a huge area which is basically safe by your walls, apart from this little chop through we need to be really careful of. So in Castle Age, you definitely want to be dropping a load more production, because then this eco you could have actually used to produce more units and really turn the tide earlier. But I think the fact that Ash kept coming in and fighting under all of these towers really worked in GG's favour, because this is a huge investment for these upgraded Springle towers. It's actually a huge amount of resources to get them all upgraded like that, and luckily Ash decided to keep coming in and using them and getting all the value and really just wiping out his units. He was able to maintain the lead, but this final fight here is where it's definitely much more decisively in GG's favour, and with the Imperial text coming in, I think this is definitely the right place to call it. So this is really interesting game. I think the perfect game to show a little bit of extra raiding and choosing your attack point really carefully could have easily swung this game one way or the other. But I hope you've enjoyed this Japanese mirror with lots of twists and turns and the massive tower defense, and I'll see you next time for some more exciting Age of Empires action.